Local history. Local culture. Local events. Your community. This is the Joe Kelly Show.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Two guests today. We're going to be talking with Brad Velardi. Brad, of course, from Greater Utica Magazine, and we'll be talking about some of the articles they're working on. And then later on, we'll be talking about one of those articles, and that's Flags for Heroes. Jackie Warmuth from Citron Home, which is going to be benefiting from that project, will join us, and we'll talk about Citron and stuff that's going on up there in general, and in particular, how they're going to use that money being raised from Flag for Heroes. How you been, Brad?
Very good. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. What's going on with Greater Utica Magazine these days? You're always working a little bit of ahead on your projects. You have to work a little ahead here.
Correct. Yeah, as we sit here, it's early November, and we're obviously working on December and trying to plan for January and so forth. You know, you're always trying to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No
it's amazing. I just write one column a week now, but it's amazing how that one column gets there so fast. I mean, you get done with one, and boom, it's there again. You know, it must seem the same to you with that.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, my father, who's my partner, Dominic, we were just talking about it yesterday, as a matter of fact, that this coming December will be our 10th year doing this. It's our 10th anniversary, doing Greater Utica Magazine. And when you're working a month ahead, the time just seems to fly by so quickly. And I was 24 years old when I started in this magazine, and now 25 to 35.
Right.
I'm trying to cheat a little bit,
but
so it's just that time in my life has gone by so fast. I think because of what you're talking about, you're always on to the next thing and always planning for the next story, next magazine.
And the older you get, the faster it's going to go. I hate to tell you that.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. For those who aren't familiar with the Greater Utica Magazine, it's a free monthly magazine. It's distributed throughout the area, banks and supermarkets and grocery stores and places like that. And it's also online, yes?
Correct, yep, it's online. And we also have been working really hard over the years to build a strong social media presence, particularly on Facebook. We're always trying to upload new videos, new photos, keep people updated on what it is that we're doing. And we're trying to expand upon that video operation that we have. We actually just developed a small studio with a pretty elaborate setup that we're excited to start rolling out. We're hoping to do that soon, but obviously, like anything else, you have to kind of try to craft it and perfect it until the public really sees it.
And I've seen some of your videos. You do a good job with it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Are you enjoying that?
I learned from the best.
Well, I don't know about that, but are you enjoying it?
Yeah, really enjoying it. You know, as you know, when you write for a long time, you're kind of trying to expand and do different things so that what it is that you do doesn't get stale. You know, you want to introduce a new audience to what you do. You know, the younger folks perhaps aren't as much into reading the longer, more detailed articles that we put out. So we're trying to just make sure we do something for everybody to get everybody on board so that more people can take pride in this area and all the history that we have.
And we do have a lot of history, and a lot of history appears in your magazine. On the cover of the September issue, which I'm looking at right now, you've got a building that looks very familiar to me, and that's 1608 Genesee Street, home of the United County History Center.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep, and it's the former, let me try to say this right, the First Church of Christian Scientists, I believe is what it was originally.
That's right, yeah.
And the plot of that whole story is about 5 main architects in Utica who at one time or another were partners with one another. And between these guys, I'll try to remember their names exactly, Jacob Agnew, Stanley Pennock, Lynn Kinney, Albert Jennison, and Herbert Rushmer.
Very good.
Over the course of time, they designed so many of the big landmarks that we have in this area, that church being one of them, UFA, the Uptown Theater, the Yanandasas Clubhouse, Holy Trinity Church. That's just to name a few. There's so many. And years later, they went on to design all of the housing projects that are located in Utica and have been for a number of decades. And I kind of make the point at the beginning of the article that, you know, when Moses Bagg first arrived in Utica in the late 18th century, this city, it would eventually become a city, was sort of a blank canvas. And the unsung heroes of our history are a lot of these architects who sort of designed the city that we know today. And it's really impacted our lives in a number of ways. So I wanted to highlight these 5 gentlemen who most people don't know who they are. So I wanted to bring their story to life, and that's what that was all about.
How did you get onto that, Brad? How did you find out about these 5?
Well, like a lot of stories you come across, it's like just desperation for content. You're trying to find something interesting, something to present to the people that will be interesting to them. And so I was going through a file of the architectural file at the History Center, and I came across a list of, I think it was like 30 different things that this one firm designed. And when I started reading the names of these places, I said, there's an amazing story here. And so that's when I started doing a little bit of research, found out more about the gentleman that designed them, and that's how I came up with it.
Yeah, how long does it take you? I mean, this is probably a questionable question, but because every article is different in terms of the amount of research it takes. Some of the research just jumps out at you, and some of it you got to dig. Is there an average amount of time you spend on your cover?
Well, yeah, the research portion is definitely the most time consuming, and that can take anywhere from a week, 2 weeks. There's certain times where I realize I'm just not going to make it in time. I have to push this to next month, and I try to come up with something else. It always varies. It depends on what the topic is and how readily available information is about it. You know, and there's some stories that you get into and you don't realize what you got into, and there's a lot more to it than you originally thought when you chose it. So they vary, but certainly in multiple weeks is, I would say, the minimum of what it takes.
Do you think you're a fast writer, slow writer?
That's, I would have to say, probably a God-given talent that I have. I can't even take responsibility for it, that I can write pretty fast. It's the only way to get out a publication like this in that amount of time. Again, I can't take credit for that myself. That's kind of just a natural thing that I have, that I'm able to put out quite a bit of writing in a short amount of time. And that's just what you have to do. It's what the profession calls for.
And I know a lot of the research that you do is done up at 1608 Genesee Street.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the History Center has been such a huge asset for us and a great partner. And they've actually, in recent months, been partnering with us in a different way. They now contribute 1 story per month. Somebody connected to the organization, whether it's Rebecca McLean, Patrick Reynolds, or now Alicia Pendasulo, now contributes an article for us. And that's been a great addition.
Okay. We're talking with Brad Velardi. Brad, of course, with Greater Utica Magazine. When we come back, we'll talk about more in the upcoming issues of the magazine. And we'll also talk about a flag project that's going to raise some money for Citron. Short break. Right back. And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. Brad Velardi is our guest. We're going to be joined by Jackie Warmuth in a little bit. But Brad is with Greater Utica Magazine. We're talking about some of the stuff that he's worked on Flags for Heroes is one of the projects we'll be talking about in the next segment with Jackie. One of the stories that you wrote recently is about the hockey team in Utica, the Utica Comets. And you've been very supportive. Your magazine has been very supportive of the Comets, yes?
Yeah, well, I mean, overall, I think it's such a positive thing to have in our area for a number of different reasons. They're off to a little bit of a rough start this year. We're hoping that they bounce back. We're gonna, maintain our support of the team, and we hope that the fans stay patient and keep their support going as well. It's one of those things that we have in the present day that ties us directly to our history. That's one of the reasons why I'm such a big fan of it, because obviously we have a tremendous amount of hockey history that goes back over a century up in Clinton with Hamilton College. So I think it's great to have it around. It's a great promotional tool for local businesses to be in that arena. And it's a good morale boost for the area to have a professional team, and it puts Utica on the map, and I'm always in favor of that.
I was asked once by someone, I forget who, and they said, because I don't think there's no denying that Utica area turned a corner. Things you couldn't find anybody talking positive about the area, and then all of a sudden things started happening, and positive things. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that, but one of the reasons is the hockey team. When we got hockey here, it's just, I don't know, maybe it was just the timing of it as I look back on it, Brad, but things seemed to just start going positive once we got AHL hockey back here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like getting an old friend back, that you haven't seen in many years, and people have been calling for it for so long. And the city was enjoying the success of the Utica College hockey team at the time, which really got the ball rolling, and that's what got this hockey thing back on track for us. And people just want something to take pride in, and they want to feel like they're relevant to places outside of the area in which they live. And I think hockey's been able to do that for us, and you've seen that it's there's been an outward expansion from that arena. And plus, people have so many great memories of that arena when they're kids. I mean, I grew up in the 90s, early 2000s, and there wasn't a whole lot going on there. It was a shell of what you see today. So between that and the Nexus Center, I think it's really just been a tremendous thing.
Yeah, Rob Esch has really been a visionary in terms of a lot of the things that he's done in the area. And I'm glad you made that point about the connecting the history back when it was the Clinton Comets. And I remember going to Clinton for those games, and what a wonderful time those were. But he has kind of kept that unity between the old Clinton Comets and the new Utica Comets. And in fact, you see some of those Clinton Comets, Jack Kane and Dave Armstrong and Bordy Smith and those guys down at the games.
Yeah, they're down at the games.
And it's such a pleasure to see them down there.
Yeah, it is. And I have to say, it's one of the bittersweet things about writing local history articles is that it's exciting. It's an honor to be able to do it, but you also find yourself wishing that you could go back in time and actually witness the things that you're writing about firsthand. And the cool thing about what the Odd has done in the past, I think it's been 11 years now since the team came back, is they've recreated that atmosphere that you read about, you research about at the Clinton Arena. And it's allowed generations of kids who didn't get to experience that back then to experience that now. And as I said, hopefully we can keep that going.
Yeah, Utica Fire Department, you've been doing some work with they've celebrated
150 years.
150 year anniversary, and you've done a lot of writing about that.
Yeah, we actually did a 3-part series that we just wrapped up in the October issue, and there's a lot of history there. That was a lot of research, but the fire department was amazing in assisting me with that, with some amazing pictures that you could see all throughout the series, a lot of great information. They're just such a institution in our area, and we depend on them for the safety of our people and our property. And so again, another group of people that deserve to be honored, and they deserve to have their story told, and I did the best I could with it.
I bet you talked to retired Chief Peter Caruso as part of that, and one of the current chiefs, Kelly.
I did speak with Chief Kelly. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the one that provided me with some of they actually have a 150th anniversary book. They had a 100th anniversary book that was published back in 1974. He provided me with a lot of that stuff. And again, to be trusted with that and to be trusted with the history of the UFD was a great honor for me. And I took that personal, I took it to heart, and I hope that they're happy with the way that it came out.
Yeah, and they, I think back in my reporting days, some of the fires we've had in Utica that they've distinguished themselves, the Obleston fire, the GE fire, boy, there's been a ton of those, huh?
Absolutely. And there's certain instances that you experience things in your life, whether it's things involving police or fire department, where you're kind of like a third party looking from the outside in, and you see a dangerous situation right in front of you, and you think, let me get as far away from that as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Well, these individuals go directly into the fire, whether that's a proverbial or a literal fire. They run head on into that, and it's really amazing.
Have you done much, if anything, on the Utica Police Department?
We actually did a story, my father did it last year, on John E. Creedon, the gentleman who the Police Benevolent Association is named after. What an incredible story. He was the first UPD officer to ever be killed in the line of duty. He left behind a great legacy. They still honor his name to this day. And that was maybe the most popular story possibly we've ever done. We got great help again from Mr. Curley over at the police department. And that was another one that was an honor to do.
He's buried over at not Mr. Curley, John Creedon buried over at St. Agnes.
Yeah. Right, yes, exactly.
And I note that from time to time the Police Benevolent Association does something with his grave over there.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Okay. When we come back, we ran out of time now, but Jackie is going to have to talk to us about what that project is all about.
It's a great project.
Okay, when we come back, we'll talk with Jackie Warmuth about that project and how it's going to raise money and how that money is going to be used. Okay. Brad Velardi's been our guest. We've had a great time as always with Brad. Hopefully he'll be coming back soon. And now we're going to be with Jackie Warmuth. Short break. Right back. And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. We're joined by the aforementioned Jackie Warmuth from Citron. And you're in charge up at Citron, Jackie, are you not, of the military program up there?
Correct, yes.
And talk about what is I know I was looking at the website just recently, and there's a whole, I guess when we think of Citron, we think of older people, but there's a lot going on up there, including their military program.
Correct. So Citron actually does treat pediatrics to geriatrics. There's 7 different organizations. The military program is one of them. So I've been at Citron for 27 years, but for the last 11, I've been working and heading the military program. And that all started because a 3-star general came from Walter Reed saying that they need help with the veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan. And I was the director of rehab at the time, and we just beefed up our mental health services. So when a post 9/11 veteran comes to Citron, we raise the money in the community to treat them. And it's behavioral health, physical therapy, family and marriage counseling. It offers a variety of different therapies that we offer, but One of the most proud things that we are, we're not just traditional OT and PT, we are actually, we offer a lot of alternative therapies such as equine-assisted therapy, aquatic therapy, polarity therapy, biofeedback, and that a lot of other organizations don't do.
Is the program growing?
The program is staying, we see about anywhere from 10 to 12 veterans on caseload at a time. And, you know, we raise the money every year, so we continue to have those fundraisers and service them. So we are staying busy, let's say that.
And that's a good segue into the Flags for Heroes. The money that is raised for that goes to Citron, and you use that for these veterans, yes?
Yes, correct. The Good News Center this is their 10th anniversary of doing the flags on the Parkway. They put up 1,000 flags, and each flag can be in honor or memory of an individual. So flags cost $40. And we are looking to sell out the field. We still have flags available, and the money that is raised then goes and donates to a military program, and they're sending that money to Citron Healthcare Center.
So the $40 is sent to Good News? Is it sent to you? How do you do it?
It's sent to the Good News Center, and you fill out a form. They just need the person's name and who's actually buying the flag for them. Each flag on the field gets tagged with a very nice tag that you're able to claim afterwards. They're all full-size flags, set up very straight and beautiful, and I've had veterans actually comment that walking amongst those flags, they feel like they're with their battalion. It's a very neat feeling. It's actually called a healing field. So we are having a program on November 9th, and then at the very end of that program, we'll be walking over to the field and having a blessing of the healing field.
And where does it start on the Parkway, and where does it end on the Parkway?
It's right across from the Senior Center. The Utica Senior Center is where the flags are, and so the 1,000 flags are marked right there from the beginning of the road from the Senior Center to where that stoplight is on the other side of just past the Senior Center. And you know, every year we mark the field, and one day and the next day that we have a huge volunteer base that comes up and sets up the field. Our OTC students actually line up the flags one row at a time and salute the flags as they set them up on the posts.
Not an easy thing to do, to set up 1,000 flags.
It's, you know, I'm very impressed with the Good News Center. They have a great group of people, and they've done it for 10 years now. We always chuckle every year to set up the flags and get our first A squared plus B squared equals C squared straight. Yeah. And once we you know, there's a way. It's actually they have a wire that tells us where we have to mark it, and we spray the grass, and that's where the rod goes, where the flag goes on top of it. So yeah, it's pretty organized.
And the people that are involved with this are all volunteers?
The Good News Center and some of Citron staff, and then the rest are all volunteers that set it up and make sure that we're safe putting up the flags, because there's rebar that has to be pounded in. And then, yes, everybody else is a volunteer that does this.
And I'm trying to remember, I saw it. It's hard not to see it if you're anywhere in that vicinity. I'm trying to remember the size of those flags.
They're full 3x5 foot flags, so that's what's so impressive about it. And I encourage people to come and walk. It would be great for people to sponsor a flag, because that goes towards treatment of our Iraq and Afghanistan veterans. But just going and walking through those large flags it's called a healing field for a reason.
Mm-hmm. And the goal this year is you have 1,000 flags.
Correct.
And the goal is to sell all those flags.
Yes.
at $40, so I'll let people do the math themselves. How many did you do last year? Did you sell last year?
We sold the numbers, I don't know the exact number, but it's between 700 and 800, I believe, is what we sold last year. And so every year we try to beat that number that we sell. And we get better every year at trying to let people know about it, encouraging them to come down to the program that's offered on November 9th. We have a speaker, and you hear a little bit about, we're going to be talking about D-Day. There's going to be a PowerPoint presentation on D-Day because it's the 80th anniversary. And then there's a bagpipes that are actually going to lead everybody to the healing field.
Now, tell people again how if they want to sponsor a flag, they would just call the Good News Foundation?
Right, the Good News Center, you can just call them. They'll have information about how you actually can donate the $40 and what you have to do to get your flag tagged by the individual that you want to honor or in memory of. And they'll tell you the information on the program that we have, and the flags will be up from November 1st to November 11th.
Okay, good. Well, thanks so much for coming in. Let's hope that this year maybe be the first time they've sold all 1,000.
That would be wonderful.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yes, it would be wonderful.
Thanks for coming in. Good
Thank
luck
you.
with the project.
Thanks.
That's going to do it for us this week, but we'll be back next week. We'll do it all again. Don't forget cnyhomepage.com. Is there a website for any of this?
It's the Good News Center's website, so www.thegoodnewscenter.com.
Okay. And after you get done with that one, go over to cnyhomepage.com. We've got a lot of good stuff there. Until next time, take care of yourself, everybody.